What's up, lords and ladies? Welcome back to another video on this channel. So in today's video, we're gonna be doing a very simple and easy bearded dragon enclosure setup. Now, I really want to just express that this is not a care video. I do have other videos on this channel talking about bearded dragon care, but this video in particular is just showcasing a very simple bearded dragon enclosure setup that you could potentially look into getting or doing yourself. As well as if you are getting a bearded dragon, I highly recommend that you watch multiple videos, not just the one and go based off of this, because there's always minor adjustments that you need to do based off your location as well as where you live, and that's also your location. Wow, good job. Oh oh man. But it's very important that you take in all those things into account because each place is different. Here in Canada, it gets cold in the winter and it gets really hot in the summer. We have air conditioning, we have heaters. So there's so much different elements that go into play when it comes to the household. So make sure that you are setting up your bearded dragon according to your household and you are educating yourself with multiple videos out there, and I highly recommend watching Lord Alliance videos. That guy, man, that guy's a handsome guy, man. I don't even know how he's still single. How is that dude still? I don't get it. But with that being said, let's just get started with this video. Let's go. Boom.
Stop at Gucci, stop at Louis V. Come with me, fly you out to Greece. Full speed, so hold it Paris. Come with me, leave all of your things, yeah. We can stop at Gucci, stop at Louis V. Come with me, fly you out to Greece. Full speed, so hold it Paris. Speed boats, baby, in Nikki Beach. Waves in my hair, smoking weed. Whipping through the shine in the Jeep. All because of what I did on sweet baby, I ain't stop baby. You just go get ready, we go out baby. Long time looking for the bounce. Yeah, Jose at the bounce. Come with me, leave all of your things, yeah. We can stop at Gucci, stop at Louis V, yeah. Come with me, fly you out to Greece. Full speed, so hold it Paris. Come with me.
Okay, so right here is the setup for this bearded dragon. Now I'm gonna go in depth on exactly what I did. You know, each person sets it up a little bit different, and the best thing about keeping reptiles is that you could set it up just like any way that you want it to be. Currently I have this bearded dragon that happens to be a family member's that you know, I placed together an enclosure that I had extra, and I figured I'll give it a great home. But this little guy right here, he doesn't really know me that well. Hello, little guy. Oh yeah, give me a little lick. But basically, when it comes to a bearded dragon enclosure, you really want to modify it according to the bearded dragon that you're getting. If you're gonna get a bearded dragon that's really big, then you're gonna need a really big enclosure. Now this bearded dragon here, he's about a juvenile, a couple months old, so he's definitely gonna have a lot more time to grow. The setup that I have right here is a 40-gallon enclosure, which I find to be roughly the standard for bearded dragon enclosures. I know more people like the bigger enclosures, and honestly, personally, I like the bigger enclosures too. But the one thing that I have about if you're gonna get a big enclosure is that you really want your bearded dragon to have proper heating. Oftentimes what we see with bigger enclosures is someone just one heat source, let's say like how I have it here, and you know, they might be running AC in their whole entire house, and then the bearded dragon enclosure just gets too cold. Bearded dragon doesn't want to eat, gets unhealthy, and you know, it could even get sick. So what I found is if you get a bearded dragon and you get a standard enclosure, which is a 40-gallon, you could more or less get the proper heating for it a lot more easier than if you were to get a bigger enclosure. So if you are going to get a bigger enclosure, make sure you're getting more heat source if your enclosure needs it. The best way to check is with a temperature gun, but this is a very basic, quick setup. It's almost dummy proof. Anyone could really do it. And exactly what I have going on here for this little guy is a couple branches that he could basically climb. Now, the one thing that I might change is the whole entire UVB setting that I have going on here. It's a dual. You know, I like the UVB to be spread, so I'm gonna probably change that, or I might just make these into 2 heat sources, and then you could obviously turn on and off, and then I'll have a big one running across the top. But right now what we have is some branches so this little guy could climb. We got some, you know, fake plants so he could also climb as well. We got some more plants for decoration. This branch right here also acts as a way that he could access more heat source. Now, I do plan on adding another branch, now looking at this, that could maybe get a little bit higher, but I really want to see how hot this area gets so I can modify the branches. And that's another tip. Sometimes, you know, we check to see the temperatures, but we don't really, you know, take into account that these branches also get really hot at the very top. Like right here, it's nice and warm. So I don't want to get a branch that's way too high and it reaches to the very top and it could potentially get way too hot up there. So I do want to have this set up and adjusted to him. He's currently in a different enclosure while I set this up and make modifications. Another thing for a bearded dragon of this size, you know, substrate is very important. You know, you could technically keep them on sand, but personally I found that sand it just doesn't work for me. However, I do plan on trying and experimenting with a bioactive kind of enclosure. So once I move all my reptiles to the new area, what I plan on doing is getting potentially PVC enclosures and seeing if some sort of bioactive would work for bearded dragons. I don't really know if it's gonna work. I do need to reach out to some people who are already doing it, but who knows, right? I'm always down to learn something new about these creatures, and a bioactive bearded dragon enclosure I think would be pretty cool. So what I'm gonna be doing right now is just seeing if this bearded dragon likes his enclosure. If he does, I'll definitely keep it this way, but I do want to add potentially another heat source somewhere around here. Something that doesn't get too hot, but I know my room currently where I'm keeping this guy is a little bit chilly, so I do want to add some multiple heat sources. That way the whole area in here is nice and warm. Now, what I'm using for substrate are these tiles, and these tiles I bought at Home Depot, which happens to be a hardware store here in Canada, and they have this kind of grain to them, which doesn't make it slippery at all. Another thing that you could do if this is going to be a permanent enclosure is actually cement these down. That way all these cracks, no poop goes down there, and it's nice and secure and nice and sealed. I am using an Exoterra, I believe it's an 18 by 18 by 36. But these types of backgrounds here, I don't really like them too much because they do tend to you know, fall apart as the bearded dragon starts to climb on it. So the setup is very straightforward and very simple to do. However, you really want to make sure that you have the enclosure also easy for you to clean up. Like for instance, this right here is almost like a plastic type of wood, as well as the tiles. I could go in there, disinfect it and clean it very good, as well as I could keep a close eye on this guy when he's feeding. If I notice that he eats fine, he poops fine, everything goes good, then maybe I could go on and look into switching over to sand. However, personally, based off just my experience with sand, I stay away from it, but I do know a lot of keepers out there do work with it. So let me know in the comment section down below if you guys like sand, or what is your take on the sand. But everything else is pretty good. The UVB, you know, we have up there, as well as the heat. Like I said, I want to add maybe a different type of strip. I do have it over there, just need to buy the bulb. Now, when it comes to the heat bulb, and this is something that a lot of, I get a lot of questions based off what heat bulb I should get. It all depends on your enclosure. As you can see, this enclosure here is a 40-gallon enclosure, and I have this branch reaching up here. I do have a 100-watt light bulb, so this area is nice and hot. However, if I was to get a bigger enclosure, this 100-watt light bulb would not do it. I might need something a lot hotter. If I was to get a smaller enclosure, because I have a hatchling, it would be a whole different story. So the wattage of the light bulb really depends on your setup as well. If you have multiple branches going up here, you know, you might not need such a hot you know, wattage when it comes to the heat bulb. I keep mine's about 100, 105, a little bit more on the warmer end. I notice great success keeping them a little bit warmer than a little bit colder. And also going in there with a temperature gun is important, and also keeping a close eye on your bearded dragon's behavior. If you guys want to see a more in-depth how to care for a bearded dragon, I've done multiple videos on this channel, so be sure to subscribe. You know, my core audience that's been watching these videos from time know that I love talking about bearded dragons, and it's a little bit tough putting a how to care for a bearded dragon in one video, because there's diet, there's veggies. This is just an overall very simple basic setup that I did for this little guy right here. Oh my goodness, let's take a look. Oh man, he's gonna be a feisty one. Come here, dude. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh man, he has the runs. But this little awesome dude right here that is going to a great home. This is a pickup from, of course, a family member. Awesome pickup, their first bearded dragon. So I'm really happy that I'm able to help out, even though I wish I could keep him now. Oh my goodness, now he's climbing. He's literally climbing. Oh, this guy's gonna be a troublemaker. But hopefully you guys learned a thing or two when it comes to these enclosures. It's very simple, very easy to do. Like I said, if you guys want me to do a more in-depth video on how to care for a bearded dragon, I'll give this video a thumbs up. I'll use this enclosure setup if possible. That way, you know, you guys could learn a thing or two on how to care for a bearded dragon. This is just a very basic, very simple setup on a bearded dragon. Again, you got 40 gallon, you got your substrate that I use tiles, some branches, UVB heat, temperature is about 100, and everything is looking good when it comes to the bearded dragon. Of course, if the bearded dragon gets bigger, I could always get a much bigger enclosure. But with that being said, that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm Lord Lion. Keep the blood pumping, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.
You gotta hit that notification. Hit that notification. Hit that notification button, baby. You gotta hit that notification. Hit that notification. Hit that notification.